Welcome to the Thought Brothers. We getting ready to start our shows at the end of the month. People are shopping, people are stealing, people are playing football, people are doing a whole bunch of stuff out here. Carlos, Mr. Banker Man, give us some stability. Start us off. What we got going on this week?
Come on, man. We're talking about college football. Do you still believe in Colorado and Deion Sanders?
Yes, man. Well, my glasses are a little crooked right now. I'm a little crooked right now.
Well, I forgot my dark glasses. So
yeah, I done took a beating. I done took a beating with Coach Prime, but I still got my glasses, and I believe in next year. Next year.
Okay.
Talk to us. What's going on?
Well, I want to hear what you guys think, because I still believe that we were all wrong in our predictions. He got off to a 3-0 start. We thought he was going to just conquer the world. And the reality is, Mr. Spivey said it once. Colorado won one game last year. They won 4 this year. They were in several games. They did have a couple blowout games, but the program at Colorado has improved. They sold out every game. They made some money, got national attention, got national TV. They may not have gotten a bowl game, but those 4 victories send hope to a Colorado program that was once in the ruins. All right, somebody take it away. What are your thoughts, Mr. Spivey? What's going on with your boy Prime?
Well, as I said, and you reiterated it, I think Deion did a remarkable job. I don't know why people would have expected him to, win 7, 8 games just starting out at Colorado. You should never expect that of a coach. Even in professional football, they talk about, building a team. And it takes sometimes 2 to 3 years to get a team together to gel so that they can be a contender. And in the case of Colorado, we got to understand, I believe, and I'm not sure my number, but Deion only kept 1 player from the previous year when the team went 1-11. And he had to pull 65 players together, either from the portal or from high school or whatever. And that's a hell of a feat to get an offense and a defense in a matter of a couple of months together to play and win. And they won the first 3 games. What troubles me right now is that I'm constantly reading every day in the online, and that these players are reneging that had committed to Colorado. I think it had a quarterback who was supposed to be one of the top quarterbacks in the country who had committed to come to Colorado, I think next year, because Shiloh would be graduating next year, the year after. Also, there's a guard who is supposed to be very, very good. And I've read that he is now withdrawing his commitment. But I think that Colorado will get it together next year. Deion will have a whole season to get his team gelling together. And they won 3 games this year, which is 2 more than they won the year before. And I think that record will increase next year. I just think they expected too much of Deion, but a lot of the heat that Deion, and I love Deion. I loved him when he was a player. And as we know, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan and have been for over 50 years. But a lot of the heat that Deion is getting is because Deion brought it on himself. When you brag and you say, do you believe, and you're talking all this smack, then when, you lose, it gives people the opportunity to jump on you. But they're on him right now. But as I said before, next year, I think it'll be a different story. And I hope he, stays. I know he's going to stay at Colorado, but they have a whole lot of rumors going on that he may leave, and I think go to Texas or something because he played in Dallas. But I don't think that's going to happen, because from what I understand, and I may be wrong on this, and I know fact checkers, love to check you, but I understand that his sons, they transferred from Jackson State and came to Colorado. And apparently there's something in the college requirements that you cannot transfer twice. So if Deion would leave, his sons couldn't go with him. And I'm certain Deion will not leave his sons, who he has coached from the time they were in Pee Wee football up until now.
Hey, well said. I understand that completely. I think that you go to Colorado, you're right. He's not going to leave his sons. Transfer portal, to my knowledge, you can't transfer twice. And this helps Colorado as well. I don't think Deion would have went to Colorado and left after 1 year anyway. So I think it was safe to say he was going to do at least 2 years at Colorado. And what this does on a 4-8 season is basically say he's not ready to take a jump yet. If he was 11-1, they might be saying, hey, he's ready to take a jump. Let's break the contract. Some NFL team might have paid out his contract to Colorado and said, come on out. But now that 4-8 is actually good for Colorado. So now they can build on it in Colorado. Nobody's going to expect him to go 12-0 or 13-0 at Colorado next year. They're going to expect him to go from maybe, 4-8 to, maybe 7-5. So now we're expecting a progression as opposed to dominance. So I think that's great. Hey, CJ, my man CJ back there. What's going on, man? What do you think about my man Deion Sanders? What's going on?
I agree with what you just said. Like you said, it's unrealistic to expect anything other than progression because this is college football. People are comparing it like this is pro football where you have free agency and veterans and you can turn a team around in 1 year. You can't turn a one-win team in college around in 1 year. You just cannot do it. And if you're going to a D1 program as a coach, you want to spend at least 4 years there because you want to get a freshman class and you want to recruit them and develop them into seniors and juniors until you're a contender with your players that you built to play in your system, and have your squad. So no one's really going to a Division I school and trying to do a one and done because one, you're already a Division I. There's no higher level of college football unless you're trying to leapfrog to the NFL. And also, again, you can't turn it around in 1 year. There are limitations, as you guys were just talking about, in the transfer portal. You can't just willy-nilly transfer all the talent in 1 year to one team. So I see the only concern I would have is what Mr. Spivey was talking about, which was the players leaving the transfer portal because they're not sure about Deion's loyalty beyond his sons. After Shador and Shiloh leave, then people are thinking, is he going to have the same level of investment in the team? And I think that's the question that some of the recruits might be having, second guessing. But beyond that, he's fine. Like I said, he improved the win total of the team. As long as he continues to progress in the right direction, and you would expect so as he continues to get more high-level recruits in there, as he says, more dogs at more positions, and become more competitive with those big schools because the Oregons and those big powerhouse schools have had multiple years of top-level five-star recruiting classes, not just 1 year. So they've got rosters. They've got five-star guys on their bench as backups. They don't have that at Colorado yet. So as they build out the depth of talent, we'll see what Coach Prime can really do there in the big leagues.
You're on mute.
All right. Gary Johnson, what do you think? What's going on, Gary?
Man, I'm past Colorado. I can't add anything of value to what you guys said. I'm thinking about, I'm still recovering from the Buffalo-Philly game in the NFL last week. Come on, man.
How about that?
I was sitting up here watching that with CJ's cat, Loki. And then all of a sudden, Jalen Hurts runs in there, and I look down. Loki fainted. He was hauled out, and he couldn't believe it, man. So
wow.
I'm like, man, the NFL is getting a little tight now. Getting a little tight.
Well, let me turn it back over to you guys again. Philly is now 10-1. Who did Philly lose to? I can't even remember now. They've been winning.
You know who Philly lost to. You try to rub it in.
Was it Dallas?
You know they lost to the Washington Commanders.
No, they didn't.
Did they?
No.
I thought that was the one game.
No, they didn't. We got to figure that one out. Was it Kansas City or we got to figure they lost one game. And what the Commanders did take them to overtime, and they lost. And the Commanders lost to them. Yeah. But either way, they won so many games. I can't even think about who that one team was that beat them this year. But they're 10-1, and the probability of them beating Buffalo was very low. That kicker had to kick a 60-yard field goal in the rain to send the game to overtime. I'm thinking he's not going to get it. He made it with like 4 or 5 yards to go.
He sure did.
And then, was it Buffalo gets the field goal in overtime? So you're thinking, well, Philly's got to score a touchdown. This thing's going to go back and forth. They scored a touchdown and won it. I mean, wow. I mean, I think Philly's a front runner to win the Super Bowl. I mean, I know Kansas City is still there, but I think it might be a rematch, and I think Philly might have the upper hand this season. Come on, Mr. Spivey. What's going on before we go to
wait, isn't the game of the week Philly and San Francisco this week?
Probably so.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So
Yeah.
they got momentum coming in there. But let's see what Spivey got to say here and then go with CJ.
Well, personally, I was rooting for Buffalo very, very hard because Philly is in our division. And we want Philly to lose. I mean, I wanted them to lose to Buffalo, and I'm hoping they lose this week. I just don't understand some of these defensive coordinators. I mean, I know a lot of them getting fired. Jack Del Rio just got fired from Washington Commanders. I mean, when you play Philly, that Jalen Hurts is going to run. I mean, you have no doubt about that. Even though he has a wrenched ankle and they tape it up or whatever, he's going to run. So I don't understand why you don't have a guy on your defense that his only job is to follow Jalen Hurts, keep his eye on Jalen Hurts and shut down the run. And the way he ran into the end zone at the end of that game was ridiculous because you should have anticipated. It should have been anticipated that he was going to run. Philly and San Francisco, I do not believe Philly can beat San Francisco. I mean, Philly has won some games this year, but you talked about it. Washington Commanders took them to overtime. Now the Bills has taken them to overtime. Carlos, sooner or later, that rabbit foot, it starts to dry up. And I don't think that rabbit foot is going to take. San Francisco, in the words of CJ, San Francisco got some dogs. And I'm telling you, McCaffrey and the boys and that Purdy, he is on the money. I mean, he has a line that blocks for him. I got to give him that. But he is a good quarterback, even though I don't like him either because they did a number on Dallas. So, I'm not a favorite of them. But I think it's going to be a good game. But I would take San Francisco over Philadelphia.
All right. CJ, what you got, brother?
Yeah, in terms of Philadelphia, that game was just an example of why Jalen Hurts is an elite quarterback. It's not always going to be in the box score. It's not always going to be the fancy stats, but he's just going to find a way to win the game. He's clutch, and he's just going to find a way to win, whether it's a scramble, whether it's a tush push or something, or, an ugly broken play that he's going to make it happen. So that's why Jalen Hurts is so dangerous, even though his numbers aren't always as impressive as some of the other elite quarterbacks. In terms of San Francisco, they look incredible on defense since they got Chase Young. Chase Young has been going nuts over there, having a lot easier job getting to the quarterback. And like you guys said, Brock Purdy's the real deal. People keep waiting for Brock Purdy to come back down to earth, but at a certain point, you have to just accept that he's legit. 7th round pick. He's got like Spivey was saying, he's got a great line in front of him. There's a great team everywhere, so he doesn't have to do anything but just dime these great receivers. He's got great weapons everywhere. McCaffrey behind him, Trent Williams blocking for him. So all he's got to do is just be accurate, be on time, make the plays he's supposed to make. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's supremely accurate, has great touch, and he's the real deal. San Francisco would probably be my favorite in the NFC, although the Eagles are also loaded. Like I said, they're loaded at every position. But, yeah, I really like the 49ers, especially defensively.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, Brock Purdy looks like a junior in high school.
He does.
He looks like he's in the 11th grade, man.
Hey, but he's playing like an all-pro, baby. He's playing.
He is, man.
He's
He
playing.
is.
And don't forget, they got Debo. And Debo can put a hurting on you. That's one of the other dogs. I mean, McCaffrey is one of the toughest guys I've seen in the NFL in quite a few years. And they did him a favor when he left Carolina and you sent him to San Francisco, as Washington did Chase Young a favor when they sent him from Washington to San Francisco. And Sweat is not mad at all in Chicago.
Hey, Sweat has gotten paid in Chicago. He looked like Deacon Jones out there for the Bears, man. He is killing it. Chase Young, he didn't got traded to Chicago with San Francisco. I guess they haven't renewed his contract yet, but he's looking like he's back to all-pro form.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say, man, other than the fact that on behalf of all the Washington Commanders fans, we definitely apologize that Jack Del Rio got fired 2 years too late. He should have been gone about 2 years ago. And even as bad as they played on Thanksgiving Day, let's look forward to next year. I mean, that's really all you can do at this point. I mean, Ron Rivera, I can't believe he fired his friend, but I can believe it because it was probably his friend or him that was going to get fired before the end of the year. So I think that is key. So that's what I got on that.
I guess I'm drawing a blank or having a senior moment. Who did they play on Thanksgiving Day?
Oh, Lord. It is that team from that plays in Arlington, Texas. I don't want to say the team, the city they represent, but they play in Arlington, Texas. How about that?
Okay, that helps my memory.
I'll have to look that up.
We have to look that one up.
Yeah. What else we got on the docket, fellas?
Come on, man. Let's talk some basketball. Come on, man.
You really? Okay, you talk to somebody else because if anybody saw that game last night with Golden State in Sacramento, I do not want to talk basketball. You get a 24-point lead and you blow it and get beat and get kicked out of the tournament. That's what Golden State did, but I'm still rolling with them. They're still my dogs.
CJ, you follow basketball. Tell us, break that game down last night. What happened?
It was a collapse of coaching. Steve Kerr kind of admitted that he had Moses Moody real hot in the game off the bench, and he took him out in the fourth quarter to bring Clay and Wiggins back in and get his veterans back in. And he admitted that it was a coaching mistake, which is rare for a top coach to admit that he screwed it up at the end of the game. He should have kept the hot hand in there. And the Golden States, they're in trouble. It looks like this dynasty might be over unless they make a trade or something, because the decline of Clay has been real. He's still a really good player, but he and Wiggins are not consistently giving Steph enough help offensively every night, along with Draymond, choking people out and being an MMA fighter every few games. Doesn't help either. Like, he's got more chokeouts than triple doubles these days. So his decline is not helping either. So Steph Curry is 35 years old, and he is asked to do a lot for a 6'3" guard. You're asking him, he's got to score 30 a game. He's got to take a high volume every night. And Wiggins doesn't show up every night. And then Clay, his knees look like they're finally giving way on him. So it's going to be rough. Golden State has some potential. They have young pieces like Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga off the bench. Whether they want to flip them for trades and try to extend the dynasty, maybe get like a Zach LaVine, get somebody else maybe at the deadline, or if they just, eventually all dynasties end. And, they had a good run, but it won't last forever unless they retool it, in my opinion. And Sacramento's legit team as well. People forget that Sacramento was a gutter franchise a few years ago. And, they got a new coach. They got a new culture. They made a big trade that a lot of people say they lost, but I would argue that they did not lose the trade. As great as Tyrese Halliburton is, De'Aaron Fox has been averaging 30 points a game and having the best season of his career, along with Sabonis, who is an all-star. And that trade gave the Kings legitimacy from being a gutter franchise to a legit high-powered offense, a team that is respected in the West right now. So I think people really sleep on the Kings because they've been so bad for so long. The Kings are legit with Sabonis and Fox and Malik Monk, who had the big game winner he's their big player off the bench. They got legit pieces in Sacramento.
Hey, CJ, I got two questions for you. So concerning Washington sports is just not where it was. And for the last 5 years, all the teams have tried to get better, and they've continuously gotten worse every year. So how long before Wes Unseld Jr. gets fired for the Washington Wizards? And do you think the Washington Wizards will win 10 games this year out of 82-game season? Talk to me, brother, on that one, because it ain't looking too good. Close, but no cigar every night. What's going on?
Yeah, people are the fan base is really down on Wes Unseld Jr. But also you have to remember that they're not trying to win games in the next couple of seasons. So if you're trying to lose games, having a coach that's not great, is helpful to the tank. The Wizards, will they win 10 games? I don't know. I think I got them winning maybe 12 or so games, but it's going to be rough. This is going to be a rough season. This is one of the worst Wizards teams I can remember in recent memory. I think they've only got a few quality players in terms of like real rotation guys. I think Kyle Kuzma's by far and away the best person on the team, the best player. on both ends. But beyond Kuzma, they've really got absolutely nothing, really. Like Denny Obvious having a decent season, but he doesn't look much more than a role player. Again, the Wizards, before this new GM and new team president, the worst drafting franchise like I've ever seen. Like they missed on more draft picks. They reached on more draft picks. They have Johnny Davis on their bench right now, who they picked in the top 10, who's playing like 6 minutes a game and making absolutely no impact on a terrible team. You would think all their young players would be playing and developing, but Johnny Davis is still not playing, which is crazy. Corey Kispert is still on the bench. Bilal Coulibaly, their recent pick, looks incredible. So again, I have faith in this new front office as their first pick has looked amazing on both ends of the court. He's in the top 10 of every rookie ranking right now. Looks great on defense, but again, he's not playing enough, which is a Wes Unseld thing. If you have this really promising rookie on a gutter team that's going nowhere, I would be playing him 30 minutes a game and starting him. But for whatever reason, they're content to start Tyus Jones and Jordan Poole to be the worst backcourt on planet Earth. And I don't understand. Jordan Poole needs to start learning Chinese the way he's playing, because he's going to end up on the Shanghai Sharks in the next season. He is putting together one of the worst highlight tapes in basketball history. I don't know if you saw the play the other night where he puts Cade Cunningham on skates, shakes him out the screen, stops, tries to taunt, throws up a haphazard scoop shot that gets slapped into the fifth row. Like, this is what Jordan Poole is having a anti-highlight every night. And it's getting really, really bad. Not to mention his efficiency is horrendous, and he has the defensive effort of a baby deer. So I don't know. It's not looking great for the Wizards. But again, they're not trying to win games, so they're going to be tanking for the next couple of years, trying to get the top draft prospects. And that's how you rebuild in the NBA. The worst place to be in the NBA is in the middle, mediocre, where the Wizards have been before this. So you got to get out of that mediocrity so you can get an elite prospect to turn your franchise around. So sorry, Wizards fans, we just have to suck it up a few years, and it's going to be a rough rebuild. But I believe in the new front office. They rebuilt OKC and the Clippers. So have faith, but you're going to have to be patient.
Hey, CJ, just keep this in mind too. If you have a terrible team, you're a lottery pick. There's no guarantee you can get the top pick every year. So this team has to think, okay, we'll be a lottery pick, which is what, top 10 teams or worst 10 teams going to the lottery or whatever it is. So there's no guarantee they'll get the top pick. So I hope this front office is able to rebuild the team over the next couple of years with a top pick, not the actual top pick. It'll be a top 10 pick, but not necessarily a top pick, unless we just get lucky and get Kwame Brown again. Okay, I'm sorry I said that, but I'm just saying.
With as many games as they're going to lose, they will end up with at least a top 4 or 5 pick.
I think they'll get one of the top 3 picks, Carlos.
Okay, more ping pong balls.
But a lot of times you don't have to get the top pick. If you got a good GM and he knows how to move players around and get recruits from somewhere else, a lot of times you give up draft picks in order to get someone.
Sure.
CJ, I'm surprised you're so hard on Jordan Poole because, they got him from Golden State. He's a Draymond victim.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are saying, I kind of see where Draymond was coming from, the way this man is playing this year. Jordan Poole's always been polarizing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's always been a polarizing personality, though, because, again, he has all the talent in the world, but his issue is kind of discipline and effort, which is really frustrating to watch a guy just not try hard who is that gifted, or that you just have such poor shot selection and, just lack of maturity and things like that.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, look, we've talked about college football. We talked about the NFL. Okay. We've talked about now the NBA. But you know what? We did a show, what was it, back in the summer about athletes gone broke. And I know we've recently heard about a guy who played college basketball locally in the DMV, District, Maryland, Virginia, for those guys, across the country who don't know what that is. DMV is District, Maryland, and Virginia. He played at the University of Maryland. He's a top pick in the NBA, I believe, in 1995 or 1996. And his name is 1995. Joe Smith. Yeah. Joe Smith. What is going on with Joe Smith? I read somewhere he made $61 million. Okay. And now, $61 million over 16 seasons in the NBA. $61 million is fantastic money, right? It's not 2023 money, but 61 million, we will probably never see 61 million collectively between everyone on here, okay? Unless you got something going on I don't know about. Anyway, so 61 million, and it says he's down to 3,000.
Yeah.
3,000. Somebody elaborate. Tell me what is going on. What's happening with Joe Smith? Gary Johnson, come on, hit me with that one. What's going on?
Well, sources and public reports say that he married a woman who was in the adult entertainment industry, put it that way.
Oh my!
And he knew he knew that they had this thing going on, but I guess it's a series of maybe bad investments and things like that, and they were having some problems. I don't know how 61 million goes like that, but he's been on a couple shows, a couple podcasts, and he's been very candid about their relationship and what it's done. He really is taken back that she's done some things publicly, not quite Will and Jada. That's another story. I wish they would just go someplace and stay away, but I don't know. It's impacted him, and he's been kind of forced to publicly talk about this because she put some stuff out on social media. And so he's forced to talk about their relationship and whether or not they're going to stay together, be together. I don't know. CJ, you have any insights on this that you know about?
Well, I did see his wife on the Mesa show giving Cameron a massage, which is insane after what just happened with the OnlyFans situation. So
yes, that's what I'm talking about.
I feel bad for Joe Smith, but it's just the story of a lot of ex-athletes. I saw J.R. Smith on a podcast talking about it, how it's just so routine in the league to just make bad investments, like you said, and just try to maintain a lifestyle that is unnecessary. And it's weird to hear J.R. Smith, of all people, have such great insights on financial literacy and things like that for someone who is known to be a knucklehead. But if you listen to him, he's actually matured quite a bit, in the years off the court. He's actually, got some great stuff going on. He's kind of talking about how the money that a lot of these athletes throw up in the club they could feed a whole community. They don't think about that stuff. They're trying to keep up with the lifestyle of, the rappers and the ball players and stuff like that, when you could be investing that money and being a lot more humble with it to save it for after your career. And a lot of players just aren't really thinking long-term like that. And it's that in a lot of pro sports.
Scoring great Adrian Dantley, school crossing guard in Montgomery County.
What?
Right now? Said he was doing a couple of years ago, said he was doing that because of the benefits. The health and retirement benefits.
Wow.
Being a school crossing guard.
I saw something I read, it must have been probably about 6 months ago, and it was Larry Bird, who had been with the Boston Celtics. And he talked about how when he first came out of college and got a contract with the Boston Celtics, and he talked about the players who he was playing with and how they were going out and they were buying the Cadillacs and the Mark 7s, and they were buying houses and stuff like that. He said, and he used to always get joked. They teased him because he didn't spend that kind of money. He said, but he constantly kept telling them that basketball is not going to be here forever. He said, but they didn't listen. He said, and they just kept buying cars and buying fur coats and just going out to clubs and partying. And he said, now, at this point in his life, 20 years later, he said he's had many players to come to him and want him to help him out. He said, and he has to refuse them. He said it hurts him, but he said they brought this on themselves, and they're a victim of their own themselves. So he has not helped any of them.
Well, how about a financial analysis on Joe Smith, right? 16 years in the league, 61 million. Well, first method or first thing you need to realize about 61 million after taxes. What's that, about 35 million? Okay. Yeah. After you pay your agent, what's that? If the agent gets 10%, 35 is down to about 29 million. Okay. Now, I heard he had 6 children.
Yeah.
And if he's not married to any of those 6 baby mamas, and he's married to somebody else right now, ooh, that hurts you bad. So I'm not even sure. In the 1 or 2 he was married to, how much did they get? How much did they get in the divorce? Ouch. Then, right. I mean, so right there. Oh, and then also I heard he didn't live in an apartment when he played for several different NBA teams. He kept buying houses in the market in which he played. So then when he got traded, he had to sell the house quickly. He took losses on most of the properties that he bought. So based on just all of that, he's supposed to be broke. I hate to say it. I mean, technically, between taxes, between 6 children that you weren't wed to one woman that you're still married to, just that lifestyle alone will take most of your money. And like he said, I saw it where he said the one lady he did get married to, I'm not sure if it was more, he said that hit him pretty hard. And she divorced him right as he was retiring from the NBA. Yeah. So he had no ability to make additional money. I think I read an article once that said most professional athletes, I think it's like 60% get divorced once they stop playing. So they don't have any way. If they get divorced, whatever they have in their bank accounts at that time has to be split or paid out to the spouses, and they don't have the ability to go back and make that type of money again. I mean, even if you get a job as a broadcaster, not everybody's going to get Tony Romo money. Don't even know how Tony got that. Most of the broadcasters, if they get $250,000 a year or $300,000 a year, that's good. If you become the A team, then maybe you get your multi-million-dollar contract. But most broadcasters making about $250,000, right? $250,000 ain't nothing if you used to make $25 million a season, or even if you made $5 million a season. So I think you have to really look at that. So just from Finance 101, Joe Smith's in a tough situation. Now, what I did like about one of the interviews I did see, he seemed to be very humble. Yeah. He seemed to be a guy who was down to earth, but it looks like he just made a lot of bad decisions. I mean, you have to make that decision. He met somebody who was in this industry, and maybe she appeared to be a normal person, but the industry, along with her social media habits, have just made a train wreck out of his marriage. So I don't know where it goes from here. I mean, I think, I remember my first job was working at Foot Locker as a teenager. And there was a guy there who said he played pro football at one point. He was a full-time sales associate at Foot Locker. Okay. And I didn't believe him. And he said, no, I played pro ball for about 2 years and got hurt. And then there was another guy who said he had played 1 year and he kept going into training camps, and he was like the final cut every year and kept missing it. And he was working at Foot Locker, so full-time as a salesperson. I mean, these are real jobs. I mean, you people, some of them going to start selling cars, because you got to remember, a lot of the guys don't graduate from college. Okay, so they play until they're eligible to be drafted or can sign with a pro team. And the ones that do graduate from college, in most cases, if they've graduated from college, they will get a decent paying job. It may not be rich, but they'll get a decent paying job. But if you didn't graduate from college, you're sort of back to where you were as if when you just came out of high school, working for UPS, working for FedEx, a delivery company, working in retail, working at a sporting goods store. So I think reality sets in. Let me tell you this. This is basic math. So if you guys ever hit the lottery, if after taxes you hit the lottery for 20 million and you take home 10 million or whatever the case may be, right? Think about 10 million. How much money do you actually need to live, right? So let's be real about it, right? You used to say, if I got 50,000 tax free, I can live on it. Times have changed. Inflation's terrible. So let's say 100,000 tax free a year, right? You can live decent on 100,000 nowadays, tax free. If you had 100,000, right? Yeah. What's that, like 8,000 a month, roughly 8,200 a month or something like that after taxes? You can live off that, right? Now keep this in mind. Okay, so you're talking about 100,000, 10 years is $1 million. Okay, so if you're a 40-year-old, say a 50-year-old male, okay, so roughly what you need is 5 million to make it to 100, right? You need 5 million. Okay, so if you're 20, add 30 more years on that, and say you came out of college at age 20 for the NBA draft. So you need $30 million on top of that, right? So roughly what I'm saying is, if you can make after taxes and after you pay your agents, if you can put $8 million in the bank in 2023, you probably will have enough money. Taking $100,000 per year for the rest of your life, you will probably have enough money for the rest of your life. None of the athletes look at it that way. None of them look at it that way. They make an extraordinary amount of money. What is the minimum salary in the NBA today? Is it 400,000? 500,000?
I think it's like 750,000 is the minimum, I think.
Wow. So if you can literally stay in the league 10 years, that's 7.5 million right there, right? So it's a lot of different variables I think you have to look at, but I think the bottom line is they simply don't budget their money. How about that?
You gotta be taught how to manage money, man.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Carlos. A lot of these guys come out of college. They weren't brainiacs or Phi Beta Kappas when they went there. They went there because they could play basketball or play football. They don't know anything about financing. Mm-hmm. And so what they do is they trust someone to manage their money. And, they pick up the phone and they call this guy and says, hey, I'm over here at the Mercedes dealer and I'm looking at, a Maybach. The guy says, okay, just tell the salesman, give me a call, and he buys it, and then they go out and he sees this house and he says, hey, I want this house. Okay, you can get it. And before he knows it, this money is dwindling and dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. And you said some one time on the show, which we did on athletes who had gone broke, and we were talking about, I think, Morant, and we were talking about how much money he was going to lose. And you made a statement. You said probably that money that he's going to lose with this 25-game suspension, he had already spent it.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember something that Oprah said one time, and this was a long time ago when she still had her show. And her statement was, you never, ever let anyone sign your checks in your
sign every check. That's right.
I agree.
Sign every check.
I remember that.
Control your own money.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Well,
they don't do it.
I think one more thing on this subject. I think it comes full circle to why that Kings and Warriors game and why the in-season tournament games have been so entertaining, because the actual incentive for the players is an extra $500,000, which people scoffed at. But as Damian Lillard was explaining, not everyone has a big $100 million contract like him. That guy at the end of the roster, $500,000 can make a big ass difference in his life. And, rather than that guy who's a fringe, G League two-way player or something like that. That's a big deal for them. They're going to be playing a whole lot harder in those in-season tournament games than they're going to be for just an early regular season game. So I think you have to give Adam Silver credit for that. To get the players to play harder is to give them a financial incentive to play a little harder in those games. And we've gotten entertaining games because of that.
All right.
Good point. That's a good point. Hey, fellas, as we close out, you all remember when we did that show, What Would You Do calculations?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm working on another one. This may not make the show, but I'm working on another one for a group next week. It's Male Social Club. One of the questions, I'm a test run with you all. It's the scenario is you're on a tour bus, okay? And you've got Isaac Hayes, Smokey Robinson, Lou Rawls, and Bobby Womack. They all got off the tour bus to take a break, and they're getting on another tour bus going to Memphis. But on this bus to Memphis, it ain't enough room for all of them. One of them has to go. Which one is going to be told that he can't get on the bus to go to the next city in Memphis? In your view, Isaac Hayes, Smokey Robinson, Lou Rawls, or Bobby Womack? And this is a two-part question. So that's part one is who's getting off the bus? Part two is which one of y'all gonna go in and tell him he's got to get off the bus? He can't get on the bus. So, Mr. Spivey, who's not going to Memphis?
Well, the first thing I want to do is I want everybody's cell phone number. Because whoever's not going to get on the bus, I'm going to send them a text. They ain't going in and telling them not. Well, in my case, Bobby Womack would have to get off the bus. Because Lou Rawls is a draw. Isaac Hayes is a draw. And we know Smokey is a draw. So, hey, Bobby Womack, I'm sorry, but you short. Give me your cell number so I can text you and let you know you're not getting back on the bus.
Carlos?
Come on, man. Hey, look, I agree with almost everything Mr. Spivey just said. Out of those four, come on, man. Smokey's got to stay. That's Isaac right. Hayes got to stay. Now it comes down to Lou Rawls and Bobby Womack. But one of my favorite athletes of all time, and CJ got his shirt on, Muhammad Ali loves some Bobby Womack. That's what I heard. So Bobby got to stay in honor of Muhammad Ali. So Lou Rawls, my lady love, he got to hit the road, baby. He got to hit the road. My lady love. Oh.
Yeah. CJ, these may be before your time, but are you familiar with any of these guys, CJ?
Yeah, most of them, but I don't know enough of their catalogs to have a meaningful opinion, so I'm gonna pass on this one.
Hey, look, right, you gotta retool that, Gary. If there was a tour bus and we had Biggie, we had Tupac, we had Jay-Z, and we had 50 Cent, that's a little closer, right? CJ, you could probably break that one down, couldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, like, so are we just going off of, man, that could be complicated. Like, I mean, their catalog in general, who's the better? Like, are we going off a skill level? Because, I mean, right now, 50 Cent is probably getting kicked off the bus, but, I mean, like, he got some hits. I mean, in the clubs, I mean, he got some good albums. So.
Well, I got to tell you, man, so you can imagine how the conversation is going to be, because Smokey is, 107 years old, but he's still getting it done. Okay.
Yes.
Smokey's still getting it done. I saw him on the Griot Awards last week. Good. I mean, I was surprised. Yeah. He's still getting it. Isaac Hayes, I think he was from Memphis. Shaft. You can't kick Shaft off the bus, man. He's from Memphis.
Shaft off the bus.
He played Stack. Stack's Records, Memphis. Oh, man. Bobby Womack, you think you're lonely now. Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
And then Lou Rawls.
I know.
Lou Rawls used to sing backup for Sam Cooke too. He got some connections too.
And he is from Memphis also.
Yeah. So, man, I might try to hold Bobby up in the coffee shop and then just tell a bus to pull off, and then blame it on somebody else and say he missed the bus, man. Oh man! All right, fellas.
Hey, look, you have to retool that, Gary. Like I said, we're gonna get a mod. I like that question, but I definitely want to get a modern version, and we can start with New Edition. Out of the 6, one of them got to go. Who we leaving?
Hey,
Bobby said, "Come back." Bobby said, "Come back. I am the king of R&B. You cannot leave me." And what was that? Ronnie DeVoe and him used to get into it all the time. Ronnie said, "Get out of here, man. We probably should leave Ronnie based on talent, but the bus gonna leave Bobby based on behavior."
Well. And also, Bobby got his inhaler. He got to keep his inhaler on the show. He got to.
Yeah, he hurt a little bit. He might want to get to the gym.
Yeah, well, all right, we'll modernize this. I like that. Which one a New Edition? You only got 5 more spots on the bus. You got 6 New Edition members. Somebody got to go. So that's what we'll do. All right, fellas. We are the Thought Brothers. We've had another good run. And until next time, we are out of here. Have a good week.
Take care of yourself.
Have a good night.